welcome to another episode of Beer for Breakfast ABV. We are on the countdown to BeerX. BeerX is this Saturday at Belmont Park, and we could not do it without our friends over at Ballast Point. I've got Marty hanging out with me for Beer for Breakfast ABV this week, and we are welcoming Jeff from Ballast Point Brewing. Welcome, buddy.
Yo,
Hello, y salud.
Yes.
Oh. Do it.
It's time.
Let's get in there.
Woo!
You can't teach that. You really can't teach that.
You can't.
It's a level of expertise that comes with many years of practice.
Many years
You've noticed.
of hardcore drinking.
So BeerX is this Saturday at Belmont Park with our friends in Pepper, and of course some of the best San Diego craft beer. And Ballast Point is going to be there, and Jeff has brought along a couple beers that we will be pouring at BeerX on Saturday. What are we starting out with, Jeff?
We're drinking Wee Gus. It's one of the newest beers in our portfolio. We released it in tandem with its big brother, Big Gus. But this one is the smaller, more sessionable beer as far as the two brothers are concerned. This one is a hoppy lager, and it's a quintessential lawnmower beer. I know that term gets thrown out all over the place. Now at the point, we're in San Diego, so like, yeah, it's a lawnmower beer, and it's like a 7.5 double dry hop IPA. But this truly is super easy drinking. By design, we wanted a beer that was gonna just be super effervescent, right? You could just tell by smelling it.
No, totally.
We wanted a beer that was going to be super clear. So as far as our portfolio is concerned, this is probably as far as SRM, the color of the beer, it's the lightest that we have. And it's super dry, crisp finish. Okay. So this beer is supposed to be bone dry. And when you have a beer that's dry and really spritzy and carbonated, that tells your body, that tells your soul that this is refreshing. And so,
I like that.
Yeah.
Tells your soul.
It tells your soul.
This is refreshing.
But it was cool. The idea was the new owners came in and they said, hey, you're independent again. Have some fun. And so they gave the task to the boys down in Little Italy, Chris, and Aaron. And they just had some fun with science, with beer science. And they decided to make this beer, which is pretty tasty and pretty light.
I just talked to a whole bunch of lawnmowers. They love this beer.
It's their number one.
It's their favorite beer that's out right now.
It's probably their number one beer when it comes to mowing lawns.
The nautical and fish theme that goes along with the imaging/marketing of Ballast Point. Wee Gus, Big Gus. Can you explain that a little bit? Like, obviously there's a fish eating a smaller fish. That has something to do with big and wee.
That's all Paul. So our resident artist, Mr. Paul Elder, shout out to the one and only. Yeah. He does all our artwork, right? So if you are a fan of Ballast Point, you see the theme, not just nautically, but artistically. That's all Paul Elder's brainchild, or brainchildren. And what he did with these small Wee and Big Gus is he was just having fun. It was more of a, let's have some fun with these beers. They're not too serious. So it's like a Big Gus, a Wee Gus. If you see the artwork right here, it's literally a big old fish about to devour a...
Yeah. And the little one, like, so scared. And Marty, if you're into the art of all the cans and from Ballast Point, you should totally go to Home Brew Mart there in Linda Vista, because all of Paul Elder's like sketches from how he was trying to decide how these fish and all these brands were going to look are up there on the walls. It is so cool.
I have been to Home Brew Mart. I might have missed that because I was stuck in the how-to homebrew kit area.
You take a left and you're gone.
Yeah,
you don't see the other side.
I was just fascinated by all the different instruments it takes to do the many different things with beer. The Home Brew Mart was an education that I did.
Dude, it's a little overwhelming.
I didn't go to college, but I felt like I got a degree. You know what I mean?
Especially with this team there. As soon as you walk into Home Brew Mart, they're going to pounce on you with, do you have any questions? Do you have any homebrew for us to try? What do you want to do? You want a recipe? Here's a recipe. This is what you need. Yeah. And it's really such a cool spot for advanced homebrewers just to go in and just continue to add on to their system, and novice entry-level brewers that are literally just, they have no idea how to do it.
That was me.
You can go there and feel cool.
There's a 175 for a kid on how to begin. I mean, I love beer. I'm an expert at drinking it and spilling it. But it was interesting to go, okay, like, let me learn. And I feel like that was a really great entry into knowing more about beer, the process of beer, and how you can go from a Wee Gus at a 5-ish and then crank it up to the Big Gus.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And look, that's the place that started it all, right? And we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. And so one of the things that we wanted to do in correlation with that is a complete art campaign, right? Given that Paul has really brought all our beers to life outside in the packaging, we decided to say, hey, well, let's pry a little bit more into the similarities between art and science, right? So the campaign is complete art inside of the can, bottle, and outside, right? So inside, you can taste it. You can taste the creativity and the innovation in the beer. But on the outside, if you can tell, there's this really cool concept where we took Paul Elder's sketches, and it's on one side of the can, and then it bleeds into the beer and what it is and the name, and then you get the finished product, right? What actually made the packaging. And it's we're dealing with limited real estate on the can, but it's kind of like hey, our homebrew roots started at Homebrew Mart, now what we're doing at Miramar. Artistically, we do the same thing, and on every sketch, on every beer, we start from a foundation, and then it evolves and it progresses, and it comes out to be something super tasty and colorful.
Yeah. So such an art, such an amazing science that you guys are the pros at.
I just drink. It's just like, hey, you know what? This tastes good. It tastes good to me. But it is fascinating that after all of these years, we're still doing cool stuff, like making new beers that, although, we think they're groundbreaking for our portfolio, but it's fun to let the brewers and the cellarmen and the packaging team and everybody involved in the company, to let them be experimental and to find cool, new, innovative ways of making who we are better.
Well, you got to have a balance. I mean, obviously, yes, we have to have these sculptions, the Cali Kolsch's. We have to have those because we love them. But also, when you have the experimental that comes in, there's got to be a balance. You can't just be brewing cores. Just like you can't just be brewing a bunch of one-offs and specials. Like, you got to have some kind of balance. And I think that Ballast Point does something really well with that. And kind of going back to Homebrew Mart, I wanted to say that I think what you guys are doing at Homebrew Mart, making it approachable for people to ask questions. So many times I hear people say about craft beer, like, oh, like, it's pretentious, you guys don't welcome people in, like, you make me feel stupid. And I think that one of the really great things about Ballast Point and Homebrew Mart is the fact that you guys take the time to really explain to people what this is, what this tastes like, what the process is, and it doesn't matter if you're a home brewer or just somebody walking into the tasting room.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like in the music world, right? It's like, oh, I was listening to this band way before you did. It's kind of, they're in that club. Some of these people that make craft beer so unwelcoming and sort of pretentious. It's more, it's almost kind of nice in a sense because they love it so much and they're so passionate about it that they almost want to be a guardian of entry, like this level of, if you want to join our world, you must be more, you should immerse yourself in all the beer. Homebrew Mart's not like that because what we believe in, and what I think most people and most breweries believe in, is that the more the merrier. Mm-hmm. The more people come in not knowing anything, the more opportunities there are for us to kind of tell our story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when you already know the story, that's kind of cool. There's other things to talk about, but when we get a fresh home brewer down at Homebrew Mart, or somebody that's rolling in with his friends that like craft beer, but he or she doesn't even know what it is, it's so nice picking them up and going, hey, let me change your world today.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I met Ryan. Does that ring a bell over at Homebrew Mart? I think he's one of your younger guys.
He's a sweetheart.
So I low-key go in there because we're part of the radio station and we do the breakfast, right? And I just start asking questions to get a temperature. He was so cool in like explaining things to me as a novice, and I am a novice, honestly. So it was so great to ask questions and not have that sort of like, I work at the radio station, we're part of the Beer for Breakfast team. He gave me a great education and long explanations of details that I was like, I feel like I know a lot about beer. And I think that's part of the staff and part of the ethos of Ballast Point. Right?
Be a Ryan.
Be a Ryan. My gosh. Can we get a t-shirt like that at Brew Mart? Are you Ryan?
It's in the works. It's in the works. But everybody in our organization, and quite honestly, everybody that you've had on. I mean, every brewery here in San Diego, I can't really pinpoint anybody that still has this weird members-only kind of mentality. It's become this super awesome communal, hobby that we all have, whether it's home brewing or whether it's drinking. Drinking can be a hobby, I guess, but and I'm really good at it. Yeah. But it's one of those things where all we're trying to do, or at least all I'm trying to do, is flavor your life, make good times better and crappy times good, and let's do it through beer.
Yeah, and cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have created a beer
Yes!
with you.
That's really wild.
This is so exciting. So, as we told you, we created the 91 XPA. It was a very limited run. We told you you need to get to one of the 3 Ballast Point tasting rooms to get it before it sold out, and then it sold out. And so many were like, I didn't get to try the 91 XPA. Well, our good friends at Ballast Point were like, you know what? We're going to brew another batch specifically for BeerX. So if you are at BeerX on Saturday, you are going to get to try the 91 XPA.
Boom, boom.
What an insane concept. And I say insane like in a totally believable way. It's not even that insane when you really start to think about it. You and your team, for anybody that doesn't know, when we decided to do the collaboration, we wanted to make it a real collaboration, a true collaboration.
Yeah.
So you and the gang, all y'all, came down to Little Italy. You partnered up with us and Chris's and Kobe, and we really designed a beer.
Yeah.
We designed a beer. What did he want in beer? What kind of beers did he drink? You got the 20 questions, right? And you sniffed hops, you rubbed hops. You went through all the motions that we do as brewers, and you got a real, I don't know, a real education in what it means or what it feels like to create a recipe. And this is your beer.
Yeah.
This is your beer.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the special part of it. It's not like we chose a beer and we're like, just slap 91X on that, and that's the 91X
Put it on the
beer.
can, put it on the bottle. Like,
No.
no, we want to be at the ground.
You threw a little bit of hops in there. We didn't do any of the milling of the grain because that's a lot of work. But we,
So just to get everybody a little bit thirsty, hey, salud.
So,
Thank you
yeah,
for
cheers,
this.
yeah, cheers. Yes.
We've done a lot of collaborations. No knock on the beautiful collaborations that we've done in the past.
there it is.
But this one, I think the secret ingredient on this one, and I'll talk about the beer a little bit more in depth, but the secret ingredient is this relationship that I think that we have. Two different industries that share so many commonalities, right? We build bridges a lot. And this is kind of what we were talking about when you went down to Little Italy. It was almost fluid in the way that we were able to devise the beer because we wanted the same things. You were trying to bring stuff that speaks 91X, and we were trying to speak Ballast Point, and we realized we're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Like, this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are doing the exact same thing that we're doing. You're doing it through music and airwaves, and we're doing it through fermentation and cool art. You know what I mean?
San Diego, local, independent. Yeah.
Local. I can't think of a better partnership. And the fact that we actually have a beer that is a 91 XPA.
No.
Hey, by the way, that name, just come on. Is it too obvious?
No,
It might be too obvious.
we kind of went in there with a little idea. We wanted an ale. We're just ale heads over here, you know what I mean? But interestingly, the cashmere hop, like,
You are so obsessed with the cashmere.
Look
hop.
at this,
like,
dude.
No, literally, like from
The
the day we went there,
cashmere.
he loves cashmere now. And the cool thing about it is, we'll drink other beers, and he'd be like, "Does this have some cashmere?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, it does!"
Like, dude, that's
it's coming.
it was
This
like
is
me.
exciting.
Dasani.
It was like you met your best friend that day.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the standout taste / scent / aroma that comes off of this. Am I wrong?
no.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Look, when you picked the hops, because it was really your team
And Hillary
that
loved
went
it
in and
too,
said, "Hey,
yeah.
we like this. We like this. This smells good. This is good." We were just there to kind of guide you in the sense that this might work and this is what it might turn out to be. So just because you like something on the front end before it gets involved with all the other processes, it might turn out to be something a little bit different or what you didn't expect. So we were here just kind of like the guardrails.
Mhm.
But this beer, super easy drinking. First off, we wanted a beer that wasn't going to be too light, but it wasn't going to throw you over the edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also agreed that we wanted a beer that was going to be representative of our town, right? And we're hopheads here in San Diego. And we also are an introductory city where you can come in, and even if you don't know what's going on in this town, you feel welcome. So we didn't want to make it aggressively bitter either to cast them out. So we decided on getting a medium to high sort of hop component, because not all hoppiness is bitter. And then we made it a 5.4, which I think in this town is pretty sessionable. It's not a session beer, but you know, we drink a lot, so it's a little
This is
sessionable.
the beer to be drinking on the beach on Saturday in the sun.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it up.
No, I think we're going to run out of this quick. People are going to come and check
I think
it
it's
out,
going to
you know?
fly.
Yeah.
Well, it flew. It already flew.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no,
flew the
We had
first
to
time around.
rebrew
Yeah.
it. We had to rebrew it because why the hell would we not have 91 XPA at a BeerX Festival
Right.
that we're
Totally.
promoting, right?
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that we had enough for everybody there to enjoy. So the beer is super quaffable. It's hoppy, so it has cashmere, right? It has a little bit of Northern Brewer. It has some Amarillo. And a little sprinkle, thanks to Chris Takeuchi, he threw a little blast of Mosaic in there towards the end.
Rare. Yeah.
And it kind of brings it all around.
Yeah.
All late additions, right? So what that means is just that like in the whirlpool and the dry hop. So after the kettle, after the boil, that's when the hops start getting added. And what that helps in is to achieve more of a floral and aromatic component, right? So you get some of the aromatics in there, and they're not like burnt off in the kettle, but not run out.
Jeff, you're an expert on beers.
I'm not an expert. I'm an expert on drinking it.
Heard. Who are the Sisters of Cashmere? I mean, not that we want to reference other beers, but if people are going to get introduced to the 91 XPA, what are some other beers that we might know with cashmere?
So the thing about like kind of going in on a single hop kind of mission, it's just like I don't want to set anybody up for disappointment because there's usually a multitude of hops that add different expressions, right? And so cashmere has its own expression, right? So like what you're getting off this beer is piney. It's a little bit of like these pitted fruit notes, like a pear, not pitted, but like a pear and something else. You know, it's a complexity of different aromatics and flavors that are coming from the hop oils. But to pinpoint it, unless you're dealing with like a single hops beer, like for instance, our Swinging Friar Ale, that is completely Simcoe. That's single. Oh, what is that? Are you good?
I have a reminder to drink beer on my phone.
Okay,
so,
it sounded
cheers
like,
again.
I had to, salud. I had to look down. I was like, are you?
That's what you're reminded.
Thank God that your alarm is the sound of beer.
It's the sound of a waterfall.
Poured.
It reminds me.
I love it, dude. I'm going to change mine as soon as this is over.
I'll set you up.
No, but like really in honesty, like getting hooked on Chinook or something like that. Shout out if you know that. If you know, you know. One of the things that happens to a particular, I don't know, like of a hop is that it gets lost in translation because it's playing along with so many other hops, right? So like cashmere and Amarillo play very differently together if they were by themselves, and cashmere, Amarillo, and then a little Northern Brewer, and then you had a little Mosaic in there, and they lend itself to be a fingerprint, right? So even though you have beers all across San Diego County that use cashmere, they're all going to be subtly different.
Gotcha.
And they're going to be different in a way that the beer base is going to give a hop a certain expression. A hop and another hop are going to play together, and they're going to give another expression and stuff like that. So
it's like a song. So like a song, like the drums and the bass sit together. That's called the engine room. That's the rhythm section, right?
Yeah.
That's a little bit about what a beer does when you pair multiple hops.
Yeah. So like if you really like the D chord, you're like, hey, I really like the D chord in the song. What other songs can I listen to? I was like, well, if I take you down that road of finding D chords, you're going to be disappointed in the sense that they start getting so they're intertwined with all the other complexity and all the other nuances that it's nice to know a hop, but it's even nicer to know a beer in its full representation. That's what we're trying to do, right? Like, oh, you didn't know we could do this with Simcoe, did you?
No.
Well, and like to piggyback off of that, a really great way to find out how like a single hop tastes in a beer is if you're ever at a brewery and you see a smash, single malt, single hop. This is a beer that has one malt and one hop in it. And so you are literally getting, like, the star is what that hop tastes like. It's not being mixed up with other hops.
I'm learning over here.
You're talking like you know already. I was listening to you.
Again,
like,
I'm good at drinking and spilling. That's it.
No, but one of the things that I'm most excited about our particular beer, besides that, just to break it down a little bit, it's pretty simple. Like, simplicity is beautiful when it comes to most things, right? When they're well done, simplicity is nice. This beer is pretty simple. I mean, it has a base of Weirmann Pilsner malt, a little bit of Vienna Gold Pils. So the grain bill is pretty simple. And the hop bill is pretty simple too, right? You got Amarillo, you got Cashmere, you got a little Northern Brewer and a little Mosaic, all Whirlpool, all dry hop. Not a lot going on. Well, one of the interesting things that they did down in Little Italy is they combined two yeast strains. I believe it was an Irish ale yeast and a Cali yeast so that the beer could be fully attenuated so it could finish out properly and gives you that body that you really want. And so for all intents and purposes, this beer is super easy, but not to say it's not interesting.
Oh, it's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean? Oh, it's super
right to your
complex.
lips.
It's like layering of flavors.
And when we were talking, down in Little Italy devising this beer, we wanted one thing. Can you and do you want to continue to drink this beer?
Yeah.
Time and time again in, at a music festival,
yeah,
at a backyard barbecue. Can you just continue to drink this beer? And that's kind of what our MO was, right?
Well, I mean, as you see, I just refilled all of us.
I know.
We filled this less than 5 minutes ago. And I was like, we need more.
Yeah.
We need more. Jeff, thank you so much to you and the entire Ballast Point team for not only partnering up with us and rebrewing this beer for BeerX, but sponsoring the studio, being a major sponsor for BeerX. Like, this partnership with 91X and Ballast Point Brewing seems so perfect for each other, and it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And right before we go, just because I know everybody is salivating now wanting to try this beer, BeerX, if you didn't get your tickets, I'm sorry, but if you are going and you're listening to this, 91XPA will be at all the concession stands at BeerX. It's going to be at all the Ballast Point spots. It's going to be at our chill lounge that's right next to the stage, open to the public, where we're going to have shade, we're going to have chairs, we're going to have cornhole, we're going to have 91XPA, VIP center. We're going to have 91XPA, R10. We're going to have 91XPA. So if you really want to have yourself a boatload of 91XPA, this is the festival to do it.
Yes.
And as far as I know, this is going to be the last time we brew it, unless it's backed by popular demand.
Oh, it will be. Yeah.
Looking at
That's
you.
not a promise, but I'm just saying.
Looking at you. Oh my gosh. Marty, before we say goodbye to Jeff and the Peoples, what do you want to say about BeerX on Saturday?
I'm looking forward to seeing Pepper. I'm looking forward to saying hi to people in person. And GD, it's the beach, y'all. It's going to be fun.
For reals. If you see myself, Marty, or even Jeff, stop and say
I'll be
hello.
there.
We
I'll
will
be there.
all be there. We'll be rolling around, having a great time. Thank you so much, Jeff and Ballast Point Brewing, for coming on Beer for Breakfast ABV and doing the dang thing. And with that, cheers to independently owned craft beer radio in San Diego and the airplanes of Miramar.
Salud.
Got through it with only one airplane. Very end. 2?
I think it makes sense, though.
Yeah!
91X.